So it's up to you.
All right, we are ready for number 9, time clock plus.
All
Take a
right.
seat.
How's everyone doing today? Well, hopefully this is the end of it, so y'all will be happy. So with TCP, we are a time and attendance software. So any department that you have for the county, we're going to be able to track time for, be able to gather all of the time, so that's very simple for somebody to easily make sure the approvals are done so that we can process payroll. And of course, we integrate with payroll software so that there's no any manual entry. It's just an export and import when it does come to that process for payroll. So that's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to go over today. We do have a lot of different ways to capture time. Of course, you know, everything with our software is cloud-based, so it is a link. So there is web clocks that can be there. If you have a workstation the employees can go to clock in and clock out, that is something that we can do. And with having employees clock in and clock out, of course it captures real time. So whatever they actually work is what you'll actually pay them for, or that's what will be the cost for that employee. Now, we do have a number of ways, as I mentioned, the web. We do also have a mobile app, of course, for the employees to clock in and clock out if we need them to. There's geofencing with that, so they're not clocking in from the coffee shop or from their bed. They'll be where they need to whenever they do clock in. Now, with that as well, we do also have, you know, hardware devices that you can post anywhere that you would like, and the employees can do a lot of things from these devices as well, such as view their hours. If you choose to use scheduling, we can definitely show their schedules on the device as well. If you have any accrual tracking, if employees need to enter leave requests, any paper processes that you have for the time and attendance software, or for time and attendance, it can be done with our software now. So just to go over how an employee can clock in, we can go ahead, make sure the employee can enter their ID number. Sorry, my hands are sweaty. And, sorry, let's try this one more time.
A little nervous.
Yeah, a little nervous, sorry.
If your hands sweat, will you work in the rain?
Yes.
Work in the rain?
Well, I don't think the clock would actually be in the rain, so you know, you'd have to have a pretty good cover on it. But when an employee does go to capture their time, they will be asked to verify with a fingerprint, or of course, if you have badges, we can use your badges on the device as well, whichever preference that you do have. Or it could be just a simple ID and PIN number to allow the employee to clock in, clock out. If you want to track breaks, we'll easily be able to track breaks with this as well.
And those fobs that you guys were mentioning earlier, chances are we can make those work with these, so the employee wouldn't have to have an additional badge or additional fob or anything. We can just send you straight to that in most cases.
And if you do use the badges or the fobs, the clock operations wouldn't even have to enter an ID number. You could just wave your badge, get a big green check mark to clock in, and you're done. So it could be that simple with the use of the badge as well. So that's just how we're going to be able to capture time from the employees. And again, they'll be able to see whatever you want them to see. They don't have to see everything. And each department can also be different. So if one department does want to incorporate leave requests with their time and attendance, we can do that. Or one department, maybe you do want to make sure that the employee is calling in, you can still keep it that way as well, but we'll be able to track that time for you and send it back to, if you're using another HRS software, or if you're using a different payroll to capture that time, we can integrate with those as well, or talk to those softwares also. All right, so that's pretty much the employee portion of it. Now, as a manager, I'm going to go over to my laptop now.
The screen share here, I'll just put the screen here.
Yeah.
Small screen.
And then as a manager, you'll be able to see all of that information that we have as well. So whether it is, sorry, I'm going to angle it here as well so I can see. But you'll be able to see all the information. For one, if somebody is wanting to process payroll, you can see how close you are, and we haven't even left the home screen. So if there's any missing approvals, of course, with having employees punch in and punch out or clock in and out, you will also, missed punches will happen. And now, if it's a manual process, you have to go find that employee, see what time that they missed. But with Time Clock Plus, we have an electronic process for it. So if there is a missed punch, they can clock in and notify the manager that there has been a missed punch all at the same time during a clock operation. So it speeds up that process, makes it more seamless instead of, taking time away from two different employees to fix one. Now we're doing it during a clock operation, it's right then and there. So those are certain things that we'll be able to track, but you can also, of course, track attendance. If you use a schedule, you can track tardies, you can track absences. And then that also goes with, if you do have employees that, let's just say, they clock in super early and we're getting a lot of overtime for it, you can limit clock operations to that actual schedule as well. Maybe we only want to give them 10 minutes early to clock in instead of 30, because 30 minutes can, 5 days a week, ends up being 2.5 hours extra that we're paying. So there are ways to limit that information. And then if you do have any salaried employees, we can just auto-populate timesheets for them as well. Hey, you have, you're going to be a 40-hour employee. Why have them track their time unless it's like leave, PTO, things like that? We can just make sure that those are auto-populated. You just have to go in, make any changes or an approval, and we can have that process very simple as well. Now, a couple of things that can also happen, of course, with So we can also, of course, you'll be able to view employee time cards. So any of the employees, any time that they are tracking, you will be able to see that information. Any overtime that you need calculated, if there's any forced overtime, if there's any on-call jobs where somebody's called out, we're going to be able to track that time. And no longer will it be written on a timesheet. Now we have it electronic. No, there won't be any, some handwriting isn't the best, right? So you won't have to decipher the handwriting. Now it's already right here. They said that they were on call. They can add a note. I was called out for a water pipe bust or something like that. Those are certain things that we'll be able to track and be able to calculate for you all before we send that time over to payroll. If there is anything else that we need to track, comp time, any accruals, vacation, PTO, we'll be able to do that as well to assist with that process. Now, of course, this can go a lot in depth. There can also be permissions for different managers. Managers don't have to see everybody for the entire county. Maybe they just need to log in and see their 5 employees. We'll make sure that it is simplified for them as well. But they'll be able to make their approvals. They will be able to make edits. I always like to say, with allowing managers to make edits, there is an audit log as well. So if anything is ever brought up, we have that audit reporting. If anything's ever deleted, you'll know the manager, you'll know the time and day of when that time was deleted as well. So all of that can be tracked with Time Clock Plus. And there are also, those different processes that we've talked about. The main thing is gathering the time and sending that information to payroll. But if there's anything else that you want to use, like time off request, get here. I'm gonna go back to the dashboard here. But you can see pending time off requests right here. Managers can also receive email notifications when a time off request has been entered also. So there's a lot of different notifications that can be sent out. If you have any managers that like to make their approvals or edits while they're moving around, there is also a mobile manager application that they can use. So if you're always waiting for timesheets to be approved before payroll, now they have it right here on their smartphone. They can go in and make their approvals right away. And you won't have to wait any longer. It's right there. It's readily available for them as well. And then any time off request, of course, you'll be able to see, how many employees have already requested off. If you can go in and approve it, you easily can. The employee will receive a notification for it, but that also goes with, you can deny it as well. If one department already has 5 employees off, maybe we do need to deny a request. Of course, that's always an option, and then the employee will receive a notification of that as well. And then there is a number of different reports that you'll be able to run as well. And this can be based off of different departments being able to run different reports as well. So whether it's a payroll report, whether it's let's just say a labor cost report, job costing reports, or different grants that may be, and we need to track that information, we'll be able to do that as well and automate and save reports. So it's not as if you always have to, log in, create the report. You'll be able to save it, and then you can automate it. So if anybody doesn't necessarily need to log into the software, but you need to receive a report of any overtime for a specific department, you can automatically receive an email at the end of every week or something like that as well. So those are just some of the tools that we do have with our software. Of course, there's other payroll items that we can have. If any department has any shift differentials for premium pays or anything like that, we'll be able to calculate those for you as well. So I know that's pretty high level as to what the software can do, but really quick here, any questions about it so far?
Yeah, I have a couple. Okay, so, where do you have to log in? When you get to work, how do you do that, with your computer?
Are we referring to an employee
Yes.
logging in?
Yes,
Or
so they're supposed to be at 8 o'clock, so what device do we go to say that we're here, show that we're here, point, show that we're here?
Ultimately, it's gonna end up being preference of the county. So you can mix and match, you can do a physical device like that, they can do it from a mobile device, or they can do it from a computer. But ultimately, it's up to the county, and they can do it from all three if you
So
wish.
you can do it from your telephone, you can do it from your computer, you can do it from that thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What happens if the internet's down?
So if the internet is down, there is a fallback mode on the device itself. So the employees will still be able to go clock in and clock out as they need to. Once it gains connectivity, no manual intervention is needed, pushes it right to the device or right to the database.
So you'll have a code that you'll punch in that say that you're here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what if somebody else gets somebody else's code, so they punch them in, does that ever happen?
It has, that's where biometrics would come into play. Where they put their code in, it's gonna require them to put their fingerprint down to verify it is them somewhere.
So, yeah, if you happen to see it, I did clock in with a fingerprint for that employee. If you have badges, of course, badges takes that, or unless I give my badge to you and have you clock me in. But of course, those are certain ways that we can help with that process. I mean, if you wanted a camera on the clock, we can take a picture of who's clocking in and clocking out as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility that we do have to help with the buddy punching process.
How does the city of Fairfield officers clock in and out?
They have a mix. They do their fobs, and then some do just kind of depending on which location. And then some do desktop, and some do mobile.
I ain't got the three, I'm over there.
What about people that work from home?
They'll still be able to clock in, whether you want them to use the mobile app. And I'll say if you want them to, there's a lot of flexibility with any of our devices. One department can say, we just want to use the clock. One department may say, you know what, we just have a workstation, they can just enter their ID number, PIN number, password, and they can clock in right from a laptop. Or if they are working from home, we can make sure that they can clock in and out from their mobile device. If you want to, geo-fence their house, making sure they are there when they clock in, we can do that as well. If they use the mobile app, there is a geolocation pin punch for every clock in and clock out. And it's not a breadcrumbing to where it continuously tracks the employee. It's just whenever they clock in, clock out, we'll know where that operation is done from.
And we can also set up IP restrictions as well, especially for the work from home employees, to where we just put their range of IP address and they can't clock in and out anywhere outside that range as well, if they're not using home.
Do y'all service any other counties currently?
Absolutely.
Yes.
How many?
Last count that I had nationwide was, I want to say about 700. I can get you a list of Texas.
How about Texas? We don't.
That's right. By far, Texas is our biggest count, mainly because we're in San Angelo. I can get you a count on that. I don't want to lie to you, but I can
That's
get
a
you a count.
county, that's just counties, not
Just-
cities, not just counties in the state.
I would say probably 40–50% are currently using time clock. But I can get you an exact.
Oh, that's okay, just make sure I understand.
Lloyd, you and I talked about out front, what were you going to ask?
I guess number one, and maybe I should have asked you about this before, but, like, when we look at possibly changing our financial software, is that company gonna are they gonna offer a service such as this?
There are some softwares that do offer, like an in-house, in their financial software. And then there are other softwares that we looked at that integrate with companies like PCP. With shopping for softwares, I know they're about 18 months out before they can even get us to a install progression. So that's still a year and a half, almost 2 years from now, so.
But is there a potential company that we're leaning toward on the financial software?
For us, yes.
Okay.
Financial software.
This company would integrate,
Yes.
and it wouldn't be paying for anything in addition to what we would be getting when we purchase the financial software?
Right, I think really whenever you look at the financial software that has it in-house versus having an integrated software, it kind of just really comes out in the wash,
Okay.
honestly.
We don't know until we get a new contract, and they see what they want, and see how we're gonna.
Right, and I mean, we're not gonna make a decision until October at the latest, so I mean, that's still October plus 18 months after that, so.
Right.
To that point too, if, let's say your payroll software today, let's say hypothetically you move forward with Time Clock Plus, 18 months from now, you make that switch, that's just coding changing on our side, 30 minutes worth of work, and now it's working with the new financial software.
So other than the black box stuff, everything else is software, that's the only hardware?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And it's completely optional as well, you don't have to have it.
So like if we had it in the sheriff's office for like my jail, my admin, dispatch, that would be sitting somewhere every time they came in, and that's how they could put their fingerprint on there, type their code in, and that would.
But even without that, we all have key fobs, and I could take my key fob and it would work the same.
We also see.
But I can't give you my fingerprint. So, I mean, as far as the safety aspect, then the right person's clocking in.
What I've seen for patrol is it's pretty common to have them set up in our squad cars.
But everybody doesn't have.
Yeah, deputies would be different.
Yeah, but your in-house, on the wall would be the best bet there, and not have to worry about. Now, you can use both the badge and
Here come a
So
hammer. Here come a hammer.
Would elected officials be able to choose whether to opt in or out, or would this be a countywide? I mean, I know this is the first presentation, but would elected officials have a say in how they wanted to
run the department.
Yeah, like Andy said, I got 5 people, right? So it's not, I know kind of what's going on, I guess, compared to maybe other departments that have more employees. So again, that's probably not an answer that somebody can give today, but just kind of a question out there of kind of what kind of say does each head have and how they want to do their time sheet.
I know.
Well, everybody doesn't have a key fob.
Yeah, I was gonna say, road
My
bridge
employees don't have
is
key
so
fob.
different than,
I know
our
when
guys
we
don't have a key
move
fob.
to financial software, when we move into new financial software, it's gonna happen regardless. I mean, that's what everyone's offering now.
What's gonna happen?
Like just having a monitor to log into, or your computer or a mobile app, I mean,
No, not my
timekeeping.
department.
Mine won't.
We don't even have internet.
Everybody has a phone though, and it's
Not
just,
gonna add the expense to the taxpayer.
it's just an app on your phone. I mean, it's simple to use. So it's just a start work and it keeps time.
I know we've talked about time clocks before in the past since I've been here. I think it would be a big help, I think, just because of the paperwork. You know, just in my office, we're getting 40-something timesheets that didn't go to them, that they didn't have to go through. Something like this would help both of our, the treasurer's office and our office, just with, because Chief or Sheena, depending on which division, they go through all those timesheets, and it's time consuming, and they have to correct them and this and that. And going through this system, I think it would be better.
To that point too, that just going electronic would potentially save taxpayer dollar as well. Because if I got here at 8:03, probably gonna put down 8 o'clock out of habit. Yeah, it's 3 minutes, but if you do that daily, it's up to a lot of money over the course of the year.
We don't pay overtime, but, I mean.
And it's up to you all how many users you want in the system, you know, if you do want some departments left out, or you want your 5 employees to be on their own, you know, they don't necessarily need to be part of the system.
And typically what we see with elected officials, they won't be tracking time themselves, they would be using it more for time off requests and more of the admin related functions of it, not necessarily the tracking time to pay someone for.
How much does it cost?
Blank check. It's, the cost right now, I believe the user is $61.20 annually. Comes out to just a hair over $5 per month per user. But we're currently in the process of revising our pricing. We're actually lowering the pricing. So we should, I think that's gonna end up coming down to about $4.25 per month per employee.
And that's up to so many?
No, sir, that's correct. Now, the more you add, the cheaper it gets.
Okay.
But I believe that we, the proposal that we put together as a draft, I think was 120 licenses. Yes, ma'am.
Back to the other part. What if only, like he was saying, what if only certain departments chose to use it? It would just be those people that were using it?
Yes, ma'am. All we would need to know is just how many users are gonna be in there. We can revise the pricing very quickly.
Something to think about.
Mhm.
Something else.
Okay.
I can see where it'd be beneficial, I say about road and bridge, but like in the sheriff's department, I can see where it's
Some places it'd be beneficial, some places it'd be pretty hard to do.
That's right.
It would.
Yeah. So I think you'd have to have the option, elected officials would have to have the option to say if they wanted or didn't want it.
Would you use it, Dan?
No.
What do you think?
Dan, if you would use it.
No?
Is there anything y'all are doing manually for your timesheets or anything at this
Everything.
point?
We can only have 4 employees.
Okay.
Everything, paper time sheets, I have to calculate it, I have to input it into the system manually. It takes me all of 4 or 5 days to do payroll.
Gotcha. Well, that would save her a lot of time, even if it's 4 employees and just having them clock in and clock out. Or, again, you can automate a timesheet specifically for them and just go in and make the little edits that they need to. And all of that's gonna be calculated now for her. So she doesn't have to do all of those calculations or, read handwriting. It's all electronic now. Does save a lot of time, and like Zach was alluding to, 8:03 doesn't sound bad, but if I show up at 8:15 and still put 8 o'clock, it ends up getting more and more to where we're gonna end up saving a lot more in the long run.
I think the difference between our departments, because I can understand why a smaller department that only works 40 hours may not need this. But ours, it's 24/7. We're not there 24/7. We're relying on what they're telling us they came in when we schedule them. So, and the amount of employees we have, I think it would just be easier for us, which would be the biggest portion for her, that it's done that way. That way, they're coming in and doing that, but they're not sitting there taking time to write it on a piece of paper, turn it into chief double checking, turn it into the treasurer's office, and then they double check. I mean, it is time consuming for us. I think it would be beneficial for us, not so much maybe for commissioners or tax office or something like that, but.
It's not uncommon too to start out with a department or two and expand as we go along. So it just,
Do all of your people come in so that they could check in? Carol?
What do you, the only people that check in, that they have to be in the office when they on duty, except for the deputies. They check in from the house when they come on. I mean, some of them drive, and some of them come in 15, 20, 30 minutes early, but, I mean, but they check on from the house, they go on duty as soon as they get in that car. But everybody else has to be here at the time they're supposed to be here.
Okay, but you're talking about people that come in early. Do they come in early and go to work, or do they come in early and just everybody visit till it's time, till it's 8 o'clock?
Ain't much visiting going on in my office.
Just saying. you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, but there's different reasons why our deputies would come in. I was talking about deputies coming in early. I wasn't talking about, I mean, obviously the other people.
I wasn't talking about just y'all, but there have been some offices that were required to come in earlier, and it was much before the time they start to work. So with that, they would check in when they actually start to work, I guess, would be the.
So we can do really two common ways of handling that.
But if you're required to be there early, then you have to pay them for the time that
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So we
They
can,
just ask them to come in early.
we can set up rounding on that, or just straight restrict them until, let's say, 5 minutes. Like
That'll be something we'll all have to talk about.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll just talk about it.
we can easily handle it though.
And that goes with what you're seeing right now on the screen, employee roles, or each department can have their setup of what they want to do in the software. So if you do have employees that clock in early for your department, maybe we do have rounding to where, hey, you clocked in at 7:45, we're gonna round it to 8 o'clock, or something like that,
I know
just
that
in
we can
case.
do that if they come in and they start to work.
Well, that's just an option, of course, you know, that's
We have
just
to
certain
talk about all
setups.
that with our little HR personnel.
And I'm sure that, because I've worked at places that had this, not y'all's, but had time clocks like this, but
Why do you-
you can also set a little gap, like they can't even clock in unless it's about 2 minutes, within 2 minutes of when they're supposed to start anyway, so that prevents them from clocking in early anyway. And of course, if they get called in and it's set, then we as managers can go in and correct that.
There is a manager override that you can do on the clock or on here, whichever way you need to.
So we do have $6,000 a year when you cut out road and bridge.
Jeremiah, you got 38 employees, right, Ed?
Yes, I think when it's all said and done, it's, when I'm full, it's probably 41.
Okay, with 38, that's 190 a month,
Yeah.
$5 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$5 a month.
I think it's a
38 a month, times 38,
For
so
some people, for
$190.
some people it's reasonable, for some people it's more.
Yeah.
I know in our office, and they'll verify this, it sometimes takes us just working with their office to get through timesheets for 3 days. I mean, we're constantly just going back and forth trying to just get it all done.
Well, I think we'll talk, we need to think about it a little bit, and if we can do it just on certain departments, and then that might be something we can look into.
So what, for 100 employees, what's the annual rate? How much does it cost for
100 employees, we look about 4,500.
$4,500?
Yes, sir.
That's a year, correct?
Yes, sir, per year.
What now?
4,500 per year.
Per year?
Yes, ma'am.
But not everybody's gonna do it, we know that.
That's what he was cutting $20 off top.
What is it?
They have the pricing for 100 employees, it's about 4,500 a year.
So you have this- how many employees?
Well, if we started with just the sheriff's department, for example, that would be a big plus.
Use us as the guinea
We
pig.
started just,
Exactly.
what is that?
I said, use us as the guinea pig.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
But I really do think it would help our office, I really do, because with multiple shifts, I mean, people are coming and going 24/7, it would definitely help, I think, our office. And I'm going to know too, I like the fingerprint thing, so, I mean, that's helpful as far as I'm concerned.
I know my,
Can I ask a question?
go ahead.
I run payroll. My first question is, why are you looking at this system? And is it, whose life is it to simplify? The department heads and then the person who administrates the payroll.
Yes.
If only ones and twos departments do it, that's still, she's gonna split her job duties and doing the manual and the electronic. So her electronic will go like that, and the manual will still be what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And
I think there probably will be
and then department heads,
offices that will use it.
I don't know about elected officials, but those heads of those departments would have the opportunity to electronically audit their timesheets for corrections, and then, you know, there can be barriers put in there so certain things can be done. But my payroll used to take 8 hours, and I went to electronic, it took me about 2. So there's still audits that have to be done, but I can do that, and it's a whole lot easier electronic. Because we used to be paid too, and that's a nightmare.
Brian, what do you think would be the downside of it?
We've moved into LGS, we've moved into eForce. My office is getting electronically submitted cases from law enforcement by the dozen a week. We have so many new logins, we have so many new systems. It's becoming fairly overwhelming. I mean, we're keeping the ship afloat. This scares me at the moment, just adding this on at this point in time for my people, because we're learning so much new things right now. I'm not, obviously, my incentives and the treasurer's are probably not aligned, because I definitely understand it makes her job easier, and I appreciate that. And hopefully, we kind of work towards that goal. The only reason I brought up different offices is that maybe I can only speak for my office, and then, you know, looking at the sheriff's, that apparently that would help them and Mandy quite a bit. So that might be a good y'all are the commissioners, you make your decisions, but that might be a good avenue why I brought it up, that there might be some people like Jeremy saying, hey, this would be
And it
wonderful.
might be worth it, just use the sheriff's department. Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying in the future or anything like that I'm out. I know it's going that direction, right? It's just the last couple months, 6 months or so, for all the new things have become fairly overwhelming when it comes to logins and different systems and things like that. So I'm trying to protect my people to get back on track with what we have going on now, smooth that part out, and then maybe in the future add on another login, another system, and another electronic. Yeah. So again, that's fairly selfish because I'm the department head, so I need to be selfish towards what is best for us. So I definitely, again, understand payroll and things like that, and also understand that at some point in time, probably it's 2025, right? It's probably coming sooner or later. But again, I think just speaking for my office, that would be a kind of downside at this moment.
Dan, what about you?
Well, you know, if it simplifies Mandy's job, I certainly don't have any problem submitting the time electronically. But in our office, everybody shows up at the same time. You know, work starts at the same time every day, and it is at the same time every day. So I think it's just great to have people who show up on time and have for years. Now I have to sit down and remember to clock into something. And I've had to use a time clock before as an employee, and honestly, I always felt it was kind of great, you know, because we don't have a problem with people coming and going. We don't have a problem with people lying.
Yeah, it's like a trust.
We just don't have that problem, but I certainly wouldn't mind submitting electronically what's going on, but to have them physically or have to have a window and remember to and clock out on breaks. I know when they're not there. I don't need to see a missed in and out to know that, so I just don't feel the need.
So with that as well, to help with that process, you don't have to clock in and clock out, right? We can just have the electronic timesheet be automated. Like you said, everybody shows up at the same time and leave at the same time. If they take a break, we can automate a break that can be automatically deducted deducted. And then maybe we just need the employees to enter their leave, enter a request process, some of the admin things that Zach was mentioning. And that's all that they have to do. They don't have to clock in and clock out for specific departments. And that just makes the electronic timesheets go to payroll a whole lot faster.
Yeah,
And it's automatically
They can
updated.
set it for 40 hours. That's why I was saying our offices are different, because they're gonna work 40. I'm gonna work more. So they can set it for 40 hours and it just gets basically sent in. Nobody's having to clock in and out.
Dan on that, you know, I don't have that many employees. Yes, everybody works 8 hours a day, you know, and we're not gonna pay overtime, they don't hang over. Tammy, for instance, when she's doing the criminal, there's a lot of before work, and there's a lot of after court work. And she'll come in at 7 o'clock a lot of times during that
Do you put
time.
that on the time sheet?
Well, she'll work 7 to 4. I mean, I'll let her, no, she still works her 8 hours. But if,
And that would reflect it.
yeah, she can get work done when nobody's there. You get so much more work done. And I'll go in, we're both there at 7 o'clock a lot of times. It's just because somebody's all in and out of your office. And so I do, that's kind of, you might call that a special favor, but I'll let her, you know, come on in. You know, I don't have a problem with her coming in at 7. And she can get work done, as long as she's got work to do and gets her work done, you know, I don't have a problem with that. It's not gonna look like the other employees as far as the clocking in, so I don't know how that,
I don't think that would make any difference.
Okay.
You just clock in when you come in and go to work then, and then clock out when you finish.
yeah, that would be, that was my only main concern.
Just get some ideas.
Yeah.
One thing that we could help with both you and Dan there is the employee can come in and simply just clock in, and they don't have to worry about clocking out. System can automatically clock them out after the 8 hours.
Okay.
That would give more visibility of they're actually here. Let's say, you know, God forbid something were to happen in that type of situation where you need to know who's working today. You would at least know who clocked in, need to account for them. Natural disaster, something along those
What if
lines.
somebody forgets to clock out in the evening?
So in that scenario, they wouldn't actually have to clock out. All they're saying is, hey, I'm here today, I clock in, the system will clock them out.
Okay, so they're automatically set to their 8 hours.
Exactly.
Unless they took half a day off.
Exactly. And that'll also let you know, like, if, let's say I'm that employee, I clock in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we can flag an exception saying, hey, they weren't here on Wednesday, was this PTO, were they sick, did they forget to clock in, just to make sure that we get everything over to Mandy to pay them properly.
And the verbiage on the buttons is also configurable. So if you don't like the term clock in, and for some, like especially salaried employees, maybe you're just checking in for the day. Hey, I'm just checking in. As Zach's mentioning, it's gonna clock you out automatically 8 hours from that point. So you can change the verbiage on it as well. I know we also deal with a lot of schools. Teachers don't like to clock in. They hate clocking in because they're salaried. So we just change it to check in. Hey, you're just checking in. There's a fire drill. We know who's here. So those are certain things that we have the flexibility of doing as well.
The automatic time clock out is definitely helpful.
Yeah, ultimately, we're here to help Andy. But we hear y'all's concerns. There's not a solution that's a single bullet that's gonna fix everything. But we can make each department say, for those sets of bullets.
Yeah, like I said, the automatic timing definitely helps what you're doing.
And more for those, like y'all have the employees, PTO is primarily what they're using it for, and just a tracking.
It'll be easier to spend
When you go to meet,
Just rotate. Just a wide turn, you know?
Your expression when I look up at you.
Well, I feel like maybe he hit my back the whole time, so I don't know which way to
Mandy, am I missing anything?
export automatically. It would produce reports for them to see every month. It would calculate all of our approvals, cost of people can still log in from their computer, we don't have to have a set or their phone. Everything's mobile, it's just an app, you can download, log in, log out. You can still, as a manager, approve and disapprove, you can fix, you can request off your phone. There's geofences once you get to a job site, and does job cost, how much time we're spending on that job site.
Right.
So that would produce another report that could be something financially that we need to
For
look at.
construction or things like that.
Just for labor.
Yeah.
And just so y'all can see, like, on the mobile app, it is configurable. I don't have to allow them to log in, but, you know, trying to put, Andy's talking about, like, just an employee to be able to view their hours. They're gonna be able to view their hours. If they need to see their accruals at any time, how much time do they have? Now they can see that right from here. Plus, you know, if I am calling in the city, of course, I can still call in, but if I'm claiming a PTO, why go through the payment process? I can just enter a leave request right from my phone. Because I can see my accruals, I can see everything. If I have the time available, I can enter that leave. Now, if it's gonna put me in, it's gonna automatically. So you won't have to. Sorry.
Yeah, they are.
So my question is, I heard you, it's $5 a person. Is that correct?
As of right now, once we revise the pricing, it's just trying to actually just on here.
I think, but each like, the one that we have.
$4 a month.
Yes, and we use
It's been like a long time. But, it's just two proposals that are good.
so y'all put that.
Numbers. Yeah.
I think once we can show this works, then everything else will fall out. Even if we did the entire county, look we can start.
And we've been told, most things about stuff being looked up and done in a long time, so, yeah, the people get the license, you all had to do it and stuff like that. So it would take longer to do it.
Probably tops, just depends on how it goes.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Why we wouldn't get this right now. For y'all, tips or HGAC, or is this something we'd have to go out for bid for?
Depends on your procurement funds. If you do require to go through the RFP process, the contractor we're using, they've already done an RFP on behalf of their members, which y'all are part of.
Most would ours be a.
Right now, it'd be under 5,000. If we're just gonna do 40, to say 50.
I think we'll put it over that would be the, if y'all want to say physical time blocks. Those are a little pricey, which would put the whole project over the 5,000.
How much are those little boxes?
1945.
I just run it over.
They run the whole.
$19.45. $19.45.
No, I'm not thinking.
I'll leave that open to interpretation.
Because I have to have,
Treasurer's office using it, sheriff's
I have to
office
have-
using it.
I'd have to have 2 of those, because I'd have to have one across the street and one on this side. Just keep that in mind.
What happens when they all get there at the same time we get there before 8 o'clock? What you gonna do then?
Well, they don't do.
Yeah, it takes roughly, get off.
I mean, that's what happens. I mean, our shift changes at 7 o'clock, so everybody shows up at once.
I said, I guess it just be the sheriff's office, like, you wouldn't need one, would you?
No, I think there should be one in the courthouse if anything, you know. In the sheriff's office, you know, they could log in from a computer. We
No.
wouldn't have.
I want their fingerprint on that thing.
Yeah. I think they need a box.
I mean, I agree, yes.
I think they need
I
a
think the only
box.
people that need to
And
log
then the
in
rest-
remotely would be my deputies. Everybody else supposed to be in the office.
Yes.
And then, one in yours, and then there's 2 in mine, and we can do it. We don't need a box.
We won't need, yeah,
We don't need a box.
we can log in from a computer.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions from any other departments, you know, regarding the software? You know, I've worked with TCP software for 9 years, so ins and outs, I always say I've fixed it and I've broken the software myself as well. So, you know, the ins and outs, if you have any questions, calculations,
Okay.
I'll be able to answer any of those questions.
I just have one, I'm kind of illiterate about all this, but whenever you tag in, if you say you use your mobile device, your iPhone to log in, is that gonna cause any problems with bugs getting in our system or anything like that? Any kind of unsecure messages or anything like that coming in?
No, sir.
No, we're SOC 2 compliant, soon to be SOC 3 compliant. Not sure what the differences are there. But SOC 2 compliant is the same type of compliance you'd see with banks and stuff like that. Amazon Web Services hosts all the data. One of the most secure systems probably in the
Not
nation.
gonna be tied into it, so we decide it's not working.
Wonder if you have to provide a county phone. You know what I
It's
mean?
an
Like,
app on your phone.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, again, we're brainstorming here, right? Just ideas that are popping in my head. Anyway, ignore that, just something that popped in my head of like using a phone to clock in employment-wise. I don't know where I fall on that.
So
Just
that's where Misty
popped in my
also had, at City of Fairfield, she also raised that concern, which is why she did the mix.
Yeah,
So,
to where you can do
of the
it.
hardware, or, yes.
That makes sense. Yeah, like I said, I don't know where
So it was
that answer
optional
falls,
to use
but
your
yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Right,
It's an interesting
right.
concept, right?
Yeah, the way that we did it at TCP back when we had to clock in and out, is they gave us the option to use it if we personally wanted to, which kind of got around that
Yeah,
loophole there.
yeah, that makes sense.
You're not forcing them.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, that makes sense. Thank you.
To use their own phone to clock in.
If they got
I
one.
wouldn't want them to use their own phone to clock in. Why would you?
It's more for the admin functions, going in, viewing, approving their time, requesting time off. We can take away the
Okay.
ability to clock in and out and just use it for everything else.
Yeah.
Because when, anyone that's talking about taking time off with your spouse or whatnot, you're usually sitting at home and not at work. So pull out your phone, request the time off.
We'd have to look at that. I guess we need to think this through a little bit, until maybe if we have a meeting next week, and think about what questions and what things we need. And you might leave us something, cards or something, so we can call and ask you questions. Or we can funnel them all through Mandy, either one. Well, if her appointment's in the office, ready to work, they won't clock in there. That's where they should
Okay. All right, perfect, thank you. If you need to ask, let us
It's the data entry. Data entry.
It's interesting.
If we do the sheriff, he has to have 2 boxes, we'll have to have all our guys.
No, she won't.
You leave the house.
You don't have to have one.
They will log
She can
in.
have a computer or phone.
They will
If
log
y'all,
in.
appreciate it, y'all have any questions, feel free to call me.
Y'all are talking, y'all do
But,
it.
email them.
That's crazy.
It's new, started back in January.
Where y'all out of? Angela?
Where's Daniel? What is Daniel? Your vice president, what is Daniel?
What are you today?
Just the tech nerd guy. I don't have a title. No, I'm a
9
solutions
years? You've
consultant.
been there 9 years?
I'm a solutions consultant, just making sure that it's a right fit, making sure that, if you told me something and our software didn't do it, I would tell you no. Like, if you wanted to start a cup of coffee whenever, if we have the right automations, we can do it, but, we have to work with IT with that one, but,
Yeah, I've been here a little over 9.5 years, and that's how I've always structured
He's right
it.
back.
It took me 9 years to get there.
Daniel, he's still out
I don't know where
there.
this guy's at.
hey, listen, the more eyes that aren't on me, I like it, okay? I'm just able to do my job.
There you go. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us today.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.